Good morning to you and a happy new year. We are in 2025. How exciting is it that we are here to see another new year? You're watching ABC in the Morning live on ABC News GH. It is an honor, it is a pleasure to come your way once again at the beginning of the year. Today is 2nd January in the year of our Lord 2025. It's so exhilarating to say the year 2025. I am actually so happy that this year has started, and I'm sure you're also glad about it. You're looking forward to a new year, and by the grace of God, we have entered into a new year. So many resolutions, so many things to look forward to in the next 365 days. 2 days already out of it, so some 363 days, but I'm sure it will be exciting. I'm so glad to come your way this morning on ABC in the Morning. I am Abna Mante. I hope you enjoyed your holidays. I hope you were able to catch up with friends and family, to wind down, to take it easy on yourselves, and also get rejuvenated for the year ahead. We are live on our YouTube. The channel is ABC News GH. The channel ABC News GH. You should also interact with us via our socials at ABC News GH _ and our website for all of your credible news, www.abcnewsgh.com. Remember, I always say that for all of your credible news, the news as it breaks, you should be following our website. And all through the holidays, we're giving you updates on everything happening in the country. It tells you that we are committed to bringing you the news as it breaks. It is ABC in the morning this morning, the first show ABC in the morning for the year 2025. Rest assured, today is going to be a very exciting day. The conversations, as always, will be very engaging. And by the end of the day, you would have learned a thing or two. So stick and stay with us. Let's take a short break. We will be back with our front story. You're welcome back. Still watching ABC in the Morning live on ABC News GH. Like I said, we are streaming on our YouTube. The channel is ABC News GH. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, you should do that. Subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so that anytime we are live, you can also know what is happening. Today on our front story, we are looking at New Year resolutions. I'm putting together New Year resolutions, very achievable ones at that. We know that anytime the year is starting, you put together one or two things to be able to guide you through the year. And as we step into this new year, many of us are thinking about how we can make it better, brighter, and more fulfilling. And as the clock resets and the calendar flips, it comes with a wave of hope, ambition, and an old age tradition of New Year's resolutions. When we say it comes with a wave of hope, it is just right that indeed you look forward to the year with so much hope. But this is one of the things we need to face. Many of us start the year with so many hope, with so much hope, so many resolutions, so many great intentions, some quite lofty intentions, only unfortunately to lose momentum in a few weeks or into the year. But why does that happen? Why are we, after putting together so many things that should be achievable, we lose our focus on them a few weeks into the year? Today on Front Story, we're exploring this ritual of New Year's resolutions. But we just are not looking at the resolutions, we are looking at very achievable resolutions, how to have achievable ones. Resolutions that will not fizzle out latest by February, but will stay with us throughout the year, so that by December 2025, we will say that we put together some things we were looking forward to and have been able to achieve them. New Year resolutions are more than traditions. They are an opportunity for a fresh start. It gives us that opportunity for a fresh start. But did you know that 80% of New Year's resolutions fail? We would find out why. We will unpack the secrets to creating very lasting resolutions, and resolutions that also inspire us and are also very much achievable. We'll explore practical strategies for setting these goals, staying consistent to the goals, and overcoming some common obstacles. Whether you are aiming to improve your health, your career, or whatever matters to you, we'll navigate this whole tangent of New Year's resolutions and see how by the end of the year we'll be better at them. We'll speak to a counselor who can lead us through all of this, a life coach, someone who can also encourage us on this journey of New Year's resolutions. When the year was ending, I'm sure because you hadn't achieved certain things, you pushed them to this year and said that in 2025, at least by the first quarter, I should have achieved some of the things that I had been looking forward to in 2024, and then it's upon that you would be building your 2025. I will encourage you and tell you that everything is within your reach. All of the things you're expecting to do, just keep at it, put your mind to it, and take them in bits. You would be able to achieve them. Sometimes, and many have said that when you compound the things, now they look so high before you, they're like a mountain ahead of you, and you get quite jittery, you get scared. You're asking yourself if you will be able to achieve them, and because some fear gets into your heart, you begin to lose hope. Now you are changing focus. Whether the new focus you are even employing is a focus that will help the tangent on which you should be setting your life, you do not know, and because of that you stop along the way. Today, our conversation is aimed at telling you that you can be able to achieve them. Keep them simple, keep them achievable. This is one of the things that we are taught every time, that keep your dreams achievable. If there are 10, maybe you could look at handling them 3 at a time, 4 at a time, 2 at a time. You go at the pace that works for you, the pace that helps you. In any case, you're not living anybody's life for them, neither is anybody living your life for you. You know how your pace is, and you know how well going on that tangent will help you. And so as you put together your resolutions, you went to church to pray about the year. You sat with your family to strategize for the year. You sat with yourself, and you looked at the things that matter to you as we enter into the year. So it is about you, and so you need to prioritize yourself. And in prioritizing yourself, you should be looking at how you will be achieving all of the things that you have prioritized. Maybe you're looking at starting some savings this year. And for me, one of the things I always tell myself is start as you hope to go. So if you're looking at the year going a certain way for you, then you should start the way you are. You should start with the end in mind, so that if you're going to be as serious about it by the end of the year, that seriousness will start now. If you're going to be lax about it, it will begin with how lax you will be at the beginning of it. So as we put together resolutions, the things we hope to achieve, we'll look at them in very, very achievable amounts, in achievable ways. Like I said, again, we'll use savings. You want to save some money. You look at your current finances now, and you start saving per age. You remember last year when we looked at financial literacy and we spoke with all of these financial experts, they showed us the way to go with this. So maybe you start with some 100 cedis this time. And as you move on, when the money is you're getting some more money, maybe you move it a notch higher to 150 cedis, to 200 cedis, to 300, and then it goes up, and up from there. You don't start with an amount that is not achievable, and then you get to a point you have to give up. You're looking to starting an educational journey, or you're telling yourself that this year is the year I make all A's in my academics. Then you should put together a plan that will guide you and help you make those A's. You have seen what may have gone against you in the past academic year, and because of that you want to turn things around. Make them achievable. Pick a course at a time. Put your mind to it that when I'm going to hit hard on this course. You give it a month or two, you see how well it's going. You employ it in more courses, and on and on and on you go. I believe that whatever you have set your mind on, I very much believe so, and I'm trusting that for you, that whatever you have set your mind on, you are able to achieve them. And I believe that you can achieve them more than you are even thinking. So keep at it. Put together that achievable plan. And it's always good to write your plans down. Like the good book says, write it plainly on a tablet and run with it. Run with it means that you are working towards it. Writing things out, make them real to you. Your plans are only plans when they are in your head. But it is just right that you write your plans down. Put them on pen and paper. And every day you look at them, you remind yourself that this is how I'm expecting things to go. This is what I want to do. Your plans are not just plans like that. They are things that we believe that you can achieve. And so put them to paper. Put pen to paper and write it down. Paste it somewhere in your room, and then give a timeline. Maybe this thing you want to do will require that you spend 3 weeks on it. Give yourself that timeline and tell yourself that by that time you would have achieved what you're expecting to achieve. Give yourself those timelines, because we believe you will be able to achieve them. Myself, I will tell you that I'm rooting so much for you, because I believe that you will be able to achieve the numerous things you have set your mind on. You so much will be able to achieve. So what are your New Year's resolutions? At some point, we'll open the phone lines to hear from you. Would like to hear what you are planning as your New Year's resolution. What are the things you've planned for? As a business person, what are you expecting to achieve this year? Is there a benchmark you have set for yourself? Is there a certain profit margin you are looking at achieving? As a student, what are some of the goals you have set for yourself? In every aspect of your life, as a worker, as a career person, what have you set for yourself? Let's think about it and put it together, because we believe you are able to achieve them. We don't want your resolutions to be like what has been in the past, that you put together some very colorful things, and by the middle of the first month, the middle of the second month, by the end of the first quarter, you have given up on them. We do not want you to give up on the things you have set for yourself. We do not want you to give up on them at all. We are trusting that you will be able to achieve your goals. The year presents us with fresh opportunities to right the wrongs of the past, and also to forge ahead, making some great strides. The year really affords us this opportunity. Forge ahead, make some strides, be proud of yourself, because we know that 365 days is enough time. These are enough days to be able to achieve your goals. Write them plainly and go at it with all of your strength. Go at your goals with all of your strength. You will be able to achieve them. When we open the lines on Ghana Speaks, we will be looking forward to speaking with you, to hearing from you on what your goals are for this year. Are they achievable? Are they sustainable? Will you be able to achieve them? Yes. Emphatically yes. You will be able to achieve your goals. Just go at them. The heights you are looking at scaling are not beyond you at all. Those heights are not beyond you in any way. Honestly, they really are heights you can more than scale. Trust me, to scale them and also to go beyond and scale more and more. So we will encourage you that just keep at your goals. Today is 2nd January. The year just started. 2025 just started. You have purpose in your heart to achieve them. I tell you, and I tell you emphatically, that you will be able to achieve your goals. Go at them with all your might, with all your strength, with everything within you, so that you can be able to scale them. Academically, you are able to. Financially, you are able to. You're raising kids, and you're saying this is such a daunting task to raise children. But I will encourage you that you're able to do it. You can, and you will be able to do it. That career goal that you are eyeing, that you are aiming for, don't think that anybody is better prepared or better placed than you are. You are able to. You've been given that opportunity. It means that you can do it. And I will again tell you that you are able to do beyond what you have set your sights and your mind on. Just keep at them. What are your resolutions? How are you expecting to achieve them? Is there anything that you've been doing throughout the years that has proven to be very right for you? Anytime you employ that tactic, it works for you and works for you perfectly. If there's anything like that, maybe you also would like to share it with us when we open the phone lines for you to share your resolutions with us. We'll be glad to hear from you on that. But so far as people keep having resolutions, it means that it has worked for them. Over the years, it means that some people, it has worked for them. Anytime the year is ending, people come out and then write their wins for the year. It means that before they started, they put together a few things, and throughout the year, after working at them, they were able to achieve them. It means that if A was able to achieve their goals, you too, B, you will be able to achieve your goals. C, you will also be able to achieve your goals. Nothing is out of your reach. Nothing is beyond you. Nothing is a hurdle that you cannot surmount. I believe that you are able to do more than you have even Still watching ABC in the morning live on ABC News GH. You're streaming on our YouTube channel. It is ABC News GH. This is a channel you should be subscribing to, and also welcome back, still on ABC News GH. This is ABC in the morning. Today, 2nd January, we're still talking about New Year's resolutions, what you have planned for the year. However, we don't want it just to be resolutions that's fickle or fizzle out, resolutions that die after a few days. Many have said that they don't believe in resolutions because it is like just a normal thing every day. You put together something and then that is all. No. For me, I don't belong to that school of thought. I really believe that when you make plans, you have plans for something. It means that you work towards them to make them achievable, to make them goals that you realize. There's so much fulfillment in knowing that the things you planned are working out for you. There's so much fulfillment in that, knowing that you put something together and you see its birth into what you conceived. A conception becoming a reality, and those are things that resolutions should be for us. Not just the things we conceive in our minds, but also things that become tangible to us. Plans. You don't necessarily have to have a plan for the whole year. You can take them one at a time. A plan for the first month, a plan for the first quarter, a plan for the first half of the year, a plan that at the end of the time frame of the period, you should see some tangibility to it. All of us hit snacks at some point in our lives. That does not mean that that is the end of the road for us. We pick ourselves back up, we dust ourselves off, and we forge on ahead because we know that we will be able to achieve them. And it's just for that reason that we are looking at New Year's resolutions. When it's time for Ghana Speaks, we'll open the lines for you. And if you will, you share with us what your resolutions are and also how you intend to achieve those resolutions. Have you had any resolutions in time past? And how did you work towards them? How did you work at them to make them very achievable, to make them attainable? Because this is all part of the things that make us a very happy people, the things that increase our tenacity for life, the things that put joy in our hearts and bubble the joy up in our hearts to make sure that we achieve every single thing we look forward to. When you have plans, when you have things in your mind, when you have your mind or your eyes set on a certain goal, nothing stands in your way. No amount of obstacles are able to deter you. It is because you are looking forward to something. Look at, let's use the pregnant woman, for example. Regardless of the challenges that they go through, how uneasy it is for them during that tedious 9-month period, they know that at the end of the day, there will be a day that they will put to birth and they will give birth to the child they so much are looking forward to seeing. And look at the joy with which they receive their babies on the day they finally have their babies. That is how a resolution is for all of us. We conceive something in our hearts, we conceptualize it in our minds, and as we work towards it, regardless of how difficult it is, regardless of how uneasy it is, we keep at it because we look forward to that day when we achieve the things that we are looking forward to. Let's speak with Councillor Frank Adofoli. He is a life coach and a counselor on New Year's resolutions. Good morning, sir. Thank you for your time.
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Councillor. New Year's resolutions, they are nothing new to any of us. However, sometimes we are unable to reach them. For that person who does not even understand what it is to mean to put together a resolution, what does this mean for me? Today is 2nd January. What is a New Year's resolution?
All right, thank you. I believe all of us know own time. Time does not belong to us, time belongs to God. So when we are given opportunity to experience another 365 days, it's okay for us to take a revision, a revise or review our previous years to look at some of the achievements we have made, some of the challenges we have had in the past, and trying to see what the lessons have we learned. And as for us to grow on as a person, we need to also look at where we are heading towards in life. So the resolution comes in twofold. One is about growth. It's also about learning about your challenges and also setting out objectives that you want to accomplish in the coming new year. And these objectives have to be realistic. It has to be something that you can be able to achieve it. It should be something that is more meaningful or valuable to you. It is something that you have the resources to achieve it. So when it comes to resolutions, they are set of objectives you set for yourself for the new year, and you are going to work towards to achieve them. But you need to review your past years, know your challenge, your resources, and your capability before you start a resolution.
Resolutions is about growth. It means that at the end of the year, I should have seen a certain amount of growth in my life. Would you say that there's a formula to putting together a New Year's resolution?
Yes, the known one or the popular one is what we call the SMART. SMART means the first, it's acronym. So the first one on the list, we're talking about your objective to be specific. So have an objective that is specific, it should be clear. You don't just say that, oh, next year I want to lose weight. How much weight do you want to lose next year or this year? what are the steps are you taking to meet that particular objective you set for yourself? So first, you have to be specific. The next thing is this objective that you set for yourself, can you achieve it? It should be achievable. You don't just say things at the end of the year, oh, I said I would do this, I didn't do it. I should be able to achieve it. So do I have the time, the resources, the money, what it takes to achieve it? And then when we move from achieving, we also talk about that S is SMA. So I'm starting with the S is a specific, sorry. The next one is measurable. We should be able to measure this resolution. Is this something that can track the progress, know how far I'm going? Within a half year, I can pause and ask myself, how far have I come? Have I been able to stay on track or have not been able to stay on track? The next is achievable. You should be able to achieve it. And then we come to relevant. It should be relevant to us. Is it tied to our value? Is it in line with what we are doing in life? Someone like me, I've been thinking about learning a new language because I have a media platform to be able to engage and even educate. So if I want to learn a new language, to be able to do that in another language, I'm setting a resolution for myself that every blessed day, I'm going to spend a certain amount of time on that language. This is tied to my kind of work because of what I want to do. So your resolution could be about your relationship, it could be about your career, it could be about your business, something that means to you. You don't just set a resolution or goal or objective that has nothing to do with what it means to you, as you might left it halfway. Last one is about time bound. So if you stay within time, you have to give it a deadline. That gives it a sense of urgency. If we are going to write examination, you know you have 1 week to write examination. Your attitude towards learning is different when you know that, oh, I'm going to write examination within a semester or a year, but I don't know when I'm going to write examination. You don't add that kind of urgency to the whole process of learning. But when you know the time, the deadline, you know that this needs to be done within a time frame. So I'm not going to joke with that. I'm going to stick to the options or the goals I've set for myself. So it needs to be first specific, and you have to be able to measure. And the next one, it has to be achievable, it has to be relevant, and last one, it has to be within a time goal.
Resolution. Some people at the beginning of the year, because of the euphoria, set very high benchmarks for them so that when they are unable to achieve them, it really breaks their spirit. For me, if I am putting together my resolutions and I'm going through all of the SMART processes like you have said, what will be that one key thing that as a counselor you would advise me to do so that if I see that I may not be reaching there as fast as I can, it doesn't break my spirit?
All right, you know that we are human beings. There are challenges, so there will be challenges along the line. Challenging doesn't mean that you cannot overcome. You should be able to learn from your challenges and be able to adapt as a human being. Somebody said to me that we are like a river, and as we are flowing, when there's an obstacle on our way, we have a way or means of going past that obstacle. So if you start a resolution, let's say you wanted to save for the whole year to be able to pay your rent. So the savings have been broken into certain goals, certain small objectives to set to yourself that every blessed day I'm going to save 20 cedis to be able to achieve that. And within a year, you had a challenge. So you are not going to save for a few days or 2 days or 3 days. It doesn't mean that your resolution will not be able to come to a successful end. What it means is we have to extend the day. If it's 3 days, we are not going to save. Instead of 365, we are going to add another 3 days to it so that your deadline will be extended a bit just to cover up the loss. It's part of the challenges. So whenever we meet the challenges, we don't put that resolution to an end. It doesn't mean that you have failed. The one who failed is someone who is not willing to try again, who is quitting. But if you are willing to try, it doesn't mean that maybe your capacity, opportunity, or resources is not available. So you wanted to wait for the right time to continue. So failure is part of life. Obstacles, they are part of life, but we need to learn from them and come back.
As a young person, we look forward to following the footsteps of those who have gone ahead of us and also achieved great things. what happens with balancing your resolutions, the things you want, and also balancing it with that, balancing that with the people you look forward to? We realize that young people sometimes absorb the nature of the people they look forward, they look up to, and so much so that sometimes they forget about who they also are. So in this new year, if I'm creating a resolution and I am also looking up to someone, how do I marry the two?
Balance is important. You don't know the person's life, their challenges, they accomplished, or they go through to be able to arrive at where they are today. So probably what you are seeing outside is different from what you see inside. If you don't have access to the person to be able to ask questions about some of their challenges along the line, and you wanted to be like them, what I'll ask you is, ask yourself, what can I do on my own to be able to get to where I'm heading towards? Do I have the needed knowledge, the resources, information on that? Now that the internet is so powerful that I can do a bit of research, let me go ahead and do the research, learn more about what I need to do. Again, the time is also important. So sometimes we set ourselves a resolution or objective that is not realistic because of the time we're giving ourselves. You are thinking that at the end of the year, I have to be like this person. Meanwhile, the person has taken time to do this for lifetime. So there can be a short-term resolution. There can also be a long-term. If you are going to set time for yourself for this, look at whether it's a short-term or a long-term. If it's a long-term is a years or lifetime. If it's a short-term, it's weeks or days or months. So be able to know how long it will take for you to achieve that. If you require to go to school, let me go to the right school. How much time will I need to do that? If you require I'm reading a book, if you require I'm learning a new skill. So what I ask you to do is reach out to the person if you can. Try and speak to the person. If the person is open, that's a plus. But if the person is not open, jump on the internet, try to do a little research about what the person is doing, the industry the person finds himself. Take some information that will give you a clear perspective on the knowledge on what you need to do and the time and the resources. Then you can start from there.
Very busy schedules in this Ghana that we are in. You go to work early, you come back home late. You also have resolutions. Your schedule, your resolution is very ambitious, but your schedule is too busy to meet it. Again, balance. How will I balance my quite ambitious resolutions with my very busy schedule?
I'll ask you, what does this resolution mean to you? This objective you are setting for you, what does it mean to you? Are they something very important to you, very meaningful to you? If you put it on a scale of 1 to 10, what will it be? If it is high, from 7, 8, 9, 10, it means it's very important to you. You need to make it a priority. So look at your time. Sometimes when we set resolution, we are not looking at the time that we have. We all have 24 hours. We use part of them to sleep, part to go to work. How much of the time that is free you want to dedicate to this? If you don't have enough time, then I plead with you, you have to come down with your objectives. If your objectives are higher than the resources you have, you end up not achieving them. So if you want activities that you want to do day in, day out, or actions you want to take, and that action requires 3 hours, and you only have 2 hours to give, then I believe you have to come down or extend the time. Instead of 1 year, we have to go for 2 years, and I'm going to do it an hour and a half continuously to be able to achieve that. So let's look at our resources. If you want to go to school, and I don't have the time to go for lectures, and if I'm going to pay the fees, at the end of the day, I won't go to the lectures because the time I want to go for lectures, I don't have that time. Look at your colleagues at workplace who are doing that. What are they doing? How much of time they have? How have been able to navigate? Can I ask questions? Can you speak to your HR and ask HR, I want to pursue this. Is there any possibility that I can write a letter to ask certain permission or certain days off? Or would I be? Or let me speak to my boss. All this can give you information to know how much time you have or resources you have. Then you can align your resolution to that. So at the end of the day, you should be able to achieve it. So I'll plead with us. All of us are setting resolutions for the years, but let's look at how achievable that can be and the resources we have. If you don't have much resources, come down with your resolution to match what you have. I say it's not about what do you call it? So cut your coat according to your size. Now they say cut your coat according to your material. So it's what you have, that's what you use to sew the kind of material you want.
We're most grateful for your time this morning, Counselor.
You're welcome.
Counselor Adofoli is a life coach and also by his name a counselor. We've had conversations about New Year's resolutions. He says that if your resources, your objectives are higher than your resources, you may not be able to achieve your resolutions. And because we want you to be able to achieve the things you are setting your mind on, look at your resolutions and then tailor them, make them very tailor-made, and trust that you will be able to achieve all of your resolutions. We wish you well in your plans for this year. But remember, when it's time for Ghana Speaks, open the phone lines and hear what your New Year's resolutions are for the year 2025. We'll take a break. When we come back, Derek Kumiki-Siedu is on hand to bring us the latest in sports. Stay with us.
As the clock ticks down on every year gone by, the game never stopped. New challenges, new heroes, new chapter of competition. Welcome to the future of sport, where every second counts and every moment is a chance to rise. 2025 is here. Now let's dive into the world of sports. Right, now the Ghana Premier League ushers into 2025 with an exciting lineup of fixtures spanning 9 centres across the country this weekend. Now the action kicks off on Friday, January 3 with a capital derby at Heart of Oak. Welcome bottom-placed Legon Cities to the University of Ghana Stadium. The match promises fireworks as the Phobians look to reignite their campaign against the struggling Royals. Now kickoff time is scheduled for 6 p.m. local time on Saturday, January 4. Third place Gold Stars FC will take on Berekum Chelsea at the Dance Park in Bibiani in what's promised to be a tightly contested encounter. Now Sunday, January 5th, January 5 serves up the bulk of the weekend matches lineup by a clash between defending champions Mediama and Asante Kotoko at the TNA Stadium in Takwa. Meanwhile, league leaders Heart of Lions face a staying test as they visit informed Bechem United at the Nana Jeboa Park. And also in other Sunday fixtures, Nations FC hosts Basak Holy Stars at the Dr. Kwame Chase Sports Complex in Abrankese, whilst Young Apostle battle Karela United in Wenchi. Vision FC welcome Instraman FC to the Ni J Kyoku, the second sports complex. FC Samatex 1990 travels to Doma to face Diana FC, and Dreams FC play Accra Lions at the Tuba Atrotef. Now, with such high stakes encounter lineup, the first weekend of 2025 promised to be an unforgettable start to the new year for Ghanaian football fans. Well, Ghana midfielder Thomas Partey delivered an impressive performance for Arsenal on Wednesday evening, January 1, 2025, helping his team come from behind to secure a 3-1 victory over Brentford in the English Premier League. Starting in midfield at the Brentford Community Stadium, Partey was instrumental throughout the match, completing the full 90 minutes and earning a solid performance rating of 7.4. Now, the game began with early a shock for the Gunners at Brentford. Bryant opened the scoring in the 13th minute. The Cameroonian forward showcased the clinical finishing, controlling a precise pass before drilling a shot into the bottom right corner to put the host ahead. Now Arsenal responded strongly, and in the 29th minute, Gabriel Jesus equalized. The Brazilian capitalized on the rebound inside the 6-yard box, heading the ball into the back of the net to level the score at 1-1 heading into halftime. The Gunners dominated the second half, with Mikel putting Arsenal ahead in the 50th minute. Now, after a rebound fell kindly to him in the box, Mikel calmly fired into the middle of the goal to make it 2-1. Just 3 minutes later, Gabriel Martinelli sealed the win for Arsenal, and Brazilian forward pounced on a high rebound, striking a powerful shot into the right post to extend the Gunners lead to 3-1. Partey's commanding presence in midfield helped Arsenal maintain control for the remainder of the game. His ability to break up play and transition the ball forward was vital in Arsenal's victory. Now, after this performance, Partey has now featured in 18 Premier League matches this season, contributing 2 goals and 2 assists to Arsenal's campaign. That's it for the sports segment on ABC in the morning. I am Derek Kumiki-Siedu. Up next is Health Tips. Welcome back. Today on Health Tips, we're talking about something that's often overlooked but is also essential for our long-term health: regular checkups and screening. I am Derek Kumiki-Siedu. Let's get into it. Now, why are they so important? Many health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers can develop without obvious symptoms, but as with regular routine screening, your doctor can spot warning signs early when treatment is often more effective. For example, simple tests like blood pressure checks or cholesterol screening can help identify a risk factor for heart disease, whilst routine cancer screening like mammograms and colonoscopies can catch issues before they advance. It's not just adults who should be vigilant about their health. Regular checkups are important at every stage of life, from childhood to older age. For kids, pediatricians track growth, vision, and hearing, whilst adults should stay on top of screening for things like cholesterol, blood pressure, and cancer. For women, mammograms and pap smear are vital. Now, while men should be aware of prostate and colorectal cancer screening. Now, regular checkups and screening are your best defense against the silent diseases that may be developing under the surface. By making them a priority, you are giving yourself the best shot at a long, healthy life. So make that appointment today. Folks, your health is the best gift you can give yourself, and remember, it's never too early to start taking care of yourself. We will be back more on tips on health. Happy New Year to you watching. Happy New Year to you watching, and don't want to miss it. But that time will allow us for today. But that's our time will allow us for today. I am Derek Kumiki-Siedu. ABC in the morning continues right after this break.
You're welcome back to watching ABC in the morning. We'll head straight into our main discussion for today. Today's main discussion is still about the elections. Elections after December 7. The conversation is still going on and on and on. And the latest is that the High Court will rule on the NPP's mandamus application on January 4. The Accra High Court will on Saturday, January 4, 2025, make a determination on whether or not the Electoral Commission should collate the parliamentary results for Alkankwe Central, Tema Central, Techiman South, and Ablekuma North. This comes after lawyers for the Electoral Commission, the New Patriotic Party, and the National Democratic Congress closed down the curtains on the arguments in respect of the mandamus application. Lawyers for the NPP argued that the Electoral Commission should be compelled to complete the collation of results in the affected constituencies. Prior to this development, the High Court had dismissed the NDC's preliminary objection regarding the court's jurisdiction to hear the mandamus application filed by the New Patriotic Party. On Tuesday, December 31, the NDC argued that the mandamus application was an attempt by the NPP to challenge the election results in the constituencies where the NDC had been declared victorious without following the proper process outlined in sections 16 and 20 of the Representation of the People Law, PNDC Law 284, as amended. However, NPP's lawyer, Gary Nemakon, opposed the NDC's objection, arguing that the application was not about invalidating the election results, but rather about ensuring that the Electoral Commission carries out its constitutional duties. Gary Nemakon, leading the team of lawyers for the NPP candidate, stated that the Electoral Commission had failed to complete the coalition process between December 8, 2024 and January 1, 2025. And describing this delay as unreasonable, Gary Nemakon emphasized that constituents in these areas have a right to know the results and the winning candidates. He further argued that while the NDC claims declarations were made in the affected constituencies, there is no evidence to support this assertion. Gary Nemakon also noted that the Electoral Commission itself acknowledged that the declarations were made without completing the collation of polling station results. The Electoral Commission, represented by Justin Amenuvo, supported the NPP's application and urged the court to order it to complete its duty. Amenuvo considered that the coalition process in the affected constituencies remained incomplete and warned that failure to issue such an order could set a dangerous precedent, potentially enabling unlawful interference in future elections. Meanwhile, the lawyers for the NDC candidates opposed the application. Godwin Tamaklo, who represented the NDC, argued that a prerequisite for granting a mandamus is a demand that had been refused. He maintained that no such demand had been made in this case and further referenced the video evidence and asserted that it indicated the declaration had already been made in the Tema Central case. According to Godwin Tamaklo, any challenge to the validity of this declaration should be pursued through a petition and not a mandamus. The court's ruling on January 4, 2024 is expected to clarify the legal obligations of the Electoral Commission and the procedures for resolving electoral disputes in the affected constituencies. With only a few days to the presidential inauguration, concerns are that what becomes of parliamentary representation for these constituencies and the contention, and should the EC fail to carry out these duties within the limited time to the swearing in or inauguration. We'll have conversations on this so that we can understand how far this issue has come. The conversation has been raging over and over and over again. It was at the High Court, it went to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court made some determinations, and the case is now back to the High Court with a different judge sitting. We will see how this goes to mean for the people. Earlier, when the issue went to the Supreme Court partially supported the request from the NDC to challenge the decision made by the High Court regarding the EC's recounting of parliamentary election results in some disputed areas. 7 disputed areas, however, 2 have been made to stand. And so Amadou is one of them. This issue, let's do a little background of this issue, but it all started when some candidates of the NPP asked the High Court to direct the EC, the Electoral Commission, to check results in some of these areas, these disputed areas, and the High Court actually agreed and instructed the EC to verify and redo the results in these constituencies. The Electoral Commission completed the recount in most of the constituencies except 2. You remember the 2 constituencies that were not recounted, the Dom Kwabenya and Ablekuma North. Subsequently, Dom Kwabenya has been declared, so that issue was out of the way. We await what it is to become of the Ablekuma North seat. But the NDC opposed this process and said that the court's decision was unfair and unlawful. The NDC also argued that they were not allowed to be part of the legal process, and that said that because they were not allowed, it affected their case. Because of that, the NDC took the matter to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court agreed with the NDC's argument, stating that the earlier court, which is the High Court, had violated the principle of fairness by not allowing the NDC to join the case. And because of this, the Supreme Court stopped the original judge who was presiding over the case from continuing with the case. The court also decided to cancel the rechecked results, or the court decided to relook at the results for Kankwe Central, Ablekuma North, Tema Central, and Techima South, meaning the original results by the EC earlier, the declared result during the elections, stand. However, the results for Nsua Maduedri and Ahafo South remained. But all of these conversations are still going because the EC ordered that the case be looked at again back at the High Court and with a new judge in presiding over the case. Because of this, the High Court has set this Saturday, January 4, as the day where it makes a determination on all of this. The NPP put in a mandamus application. This application literally says that any entity that is mandated to do a certain work, this application, so to speak, causes them to do the work that has been set out. So many conversations from both sides of the political divide, each stating that their case holds much claim. Their case is the case that holds water in this conversation. But at the end of the day, it will be the determination of the High Court for us to understand all that is happening. Remember that Saturday, 4th January, by Tuesday, the president-elect will be sworn in as president. And even before that, parliamentarians or members of parliament would have been sworn in to represent their constituencies. So the conversation, the questions that have been raised so far is that what becomes of these seats, what becomes of these parliamentary candidates, what becomes of these constituencies? Is it that they will not have representation in parliament? The Supreme Court will make some determination, and then we will all understand to what extent this conversation will have reached by Saturday. Some members of the NDC say that this request that the MPP took to court is really not a mandamus, but actually an election petition. The MPP is seeking an election petition in court, but are standing behind the mandamus application to make it look like so. Is that so for the NPP? So do they believe what the NDC are saying? The NDC have continued to say that The election results that were declared during the 7th December elections hold, and no other declarations should overshadow that declaration that they were made. Those declarations that were made in the aftermath of the elections. The EC's lawyer himself has said that the court should compel the EC to relook at the results. Otherwise, there are certain negative precedents for further conversations in the future. Is that all of that? Indeed, what does this mean for our governance? Does this go to strengthen our electoral system in the country? Does this strengthen our democracy? Does this go to suggest that if you are not excited about what is happening, if you do not believe in what is happening in our election process, after you have gone to court, you really would have had a very clear understanding? We'll speak with people in there who are very much involved in the conversation. We'll be speaking with Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, who is the Deputy Director for Elections for the NDC. We'll have conversations with him. We'll have conversations with Roxanne Conde, the Director for Operations at Senko, on all of this. But at the moment, they join us on Zoom for this conversation. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Dr. Tanko.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir. And a happy new year to you.
Thank you. Same to you and all your crew.
Thank you. The application is back in the High Court. High Court has set January 7 to make a determination. You have been very vocal about this since it started. So far, what is your impression about all of the conversations concerning these parliamentary seats?
Very well. It's rather January 4th, which is Saturday.
January 4th,
noon.
sorry.
Yes, 12 noon that the trial judge would give his ruling. Yesterday, we filed for an objection to the mandamus, but in the wisdom of the judge, he decided to set it aside and then asked that we should all defend our position. I mean, well, he's a new judge on this matter. He wanted to listen to both parties because we have MPP and Electoral Commission on one side, okay, and we are against it. We are surprised at the EC behavior all along, and we've been saying it, that look, it is their posturing that has made us to believe that they are in collusion with MPP to do illegal things. And that is why we are against them seriously on certain actions when they take it. Because why would the EC be siding with MPP, knowing very well that they have taken the action they asked them to go and do? What is this mandamus all about? You are asking a high court to force a constitutional body, that is a state body, to perform their rule that they are you think they are not performing their rule. That is just what they are doing. But that rule has been performed already. The role they asked them to go and perform, they have performed that role already. And the EC should have told the court that, yes, we performed those rules. But these people are not satisfied with the rules that we have performed.
Dr. Tanko,
and so they shouldn't, yes.
The EC says that the coalition process was incomplete. They would want to complete the process so that it does not set a dangerous precedent. That's their word, not to set a dangerous precedent. So why do you think that the EC is rather colluding or conniving with the NPP when itself, the work that it has been mandated by law to do, they who have been mandated say that the work is incomplete, so allow us to complete the incomplete work?
If you don't complete a process, do you do declaration? All these 4 constituencies, there were declarations there. So if they do not complete the collating the results, how come they declare results? You see, this EC, that's why sometimes I said, when they do illegal things, we'll come after them strongly. And they think that we are always attacking them. We are not attacking them because this is purely a crooked means of colluding with the MPP to steal the mandate of the people. That is what they are trying to do. The declarations so made were done because they were conclusion of their processes. It doesn't lie in their mouth to come and tell us that it was not complete. So therefore, we must come back and do it again. When they did the declaration, did you see the evidence we adduced the High Court, and we sent video footages? Did you see, your reporters were there? Did they see any of the declaration done under any duress as they are banding around? Did they see any of the presiding officers gun pointing at their heads and asking them, declare? If you don't declare, we'll shoot you to death? Did they see that one? There was nothing like that. In fact, at the time of those declarations, there were security men around them. There were policemen standing there. So this narrative of declarations were made under duress, or they were forced to do declarations, or coalition did not complete, and all that. These are just stories, made up stories, meant to steal the mandate of the people.
Well,
that is what they are trying to do.
In any case, in Tema Central, for instance, the conversation or what stood out was that the person who made the declaration is not even the returning officer for the constituency. Does this not add credence or bear credence to what the EC and the NPP are talking about?
We are saying that when you have evidence of this nature, you come with an application to a High Court. You see, you come with an application. You petition the High Court with an application using PNDC law 284, subsection 16 and 20, to challenge such declaration before a High Court judge, indicating that these are the reasons why we think that the declaration so made was not done properly. Then the High Court will look at it, look at your evidence, and either set it aside or uphold those declarations. It doesn't lie in your mouth to run to the commissioners. That is what we are talking about. And the commissioners will sit down and constitute themselves into judges and deciding on matters of that nature. It doesn't lie in their mouth. The laws are very clear. The laws are there. Look, if you go and take our constitution, 1992 constitution, Article 99(1), the High Court has jurisdiction over election matters, parliamentary elections. It has jurisdiction over that. And so you go and invoke the jurisdiction of the High Court under Article 99(1) and then argue your case there. You see, we have filed some issues against Fantiakwa North and Obuasi East, and we are in the process of filing another one against Sawam Adwajiri. And we are using that process, the High Court, to stop them. Those declarations made for them, we say they are illegal, they are not proper.
Dr. Tanko, I'll come back to you.
So we have invoked the legislation.
Okay, I'll come back to you for more on that, and so that we peruse the matter more. But Roxanne, thank you for joining us too, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, AB, and Happy New Year to you and your crew members, the team members at ABC News, and then thank you for having me today.
Right.
Dr. Tanko, Happy New Year.
Roxanne, we have a few days
to go.
We have a few days to swearing in, and from where you sit at Senko, do you think EC will be able to do all of the duties required of it before the swearing
in? So, like I always say, that EC as an institution is not a problem. There are individuals at EC that are trying to serve their interests, and that is creating all this hula baloo. For me, I see these issues as non-existent issues, and these issues, even if they are issues, parties, whether NDC, MPP, CPP, whichever party has issue, know the right forum to pursue these issues. Now, persons at EC thinking that they are laws on their own, they work as they wish with that recourse to the law, are the people creating this unnecessary confusion in the country. It is clear that EC is a constitutional body. Your duty is to conduct elections. Having conducted the elections, the results are declared. And let me bring to your notice that the declaration of parliamentary results has nothing to do with the commissioners. Whether Jim Mensah, Bosman Asare, whoever, they don't have any rule to determine who declares parliamentary results. Jim Mensah, as the chair of EC, is a returning officer for presidential results. So you cannot then come and constitute yourself to want to undo what people mandated to declare parliamentary results have done. Like I said, if they have done something wrong, the law provides the necessary and the right forum for these wrongs to be addressed and corrected.
Okay.
You cannot use... Yes,
please go on. Please go on.
You cannot use a wrong means to try to correct something you perceive is wrong, because EC and persons working there are working by the law. So if there's something wrong by the declaration, it is not for you to come and say you want to correct it without going through the right process. If the people were declared under duress, the only body that can determine whether there was duress or not is the court. Now, you ask me a question whether EC would be able to do the needful before the D-Day. I have my fears, because the way things are going, and EC is not even willing to rethink and say, oh, we are going wrong, let's recorrect ourselves and do the right thing. It will be a big challenge for them to be able to complete all these challenges before the swearing in. And you see, like Dr. Tanku pointed out, how come there are other areas where these illegalities or purported illegalities or wrong declarations were made? But EC is not looking at those areas. And I kept mentioning Pandai. If you look at the video that declared MPP candidate for Pandai, there were only 3 or 4 people there. The deputy EC director, the MPP candidate, the MPP constituency chairman, and I think the other person. These were the only 3 people. And we are even told that that declaration was done at the MPP constituency chairman's house. Have you heard EC talking about Pandai? Have you heard EC talking about Damango, where the whole regional office was bent down? So let's even say the declaration was good and well. Have you seen EC talking about the burning down of their regional office in Damango? Have you seen Karaga, Tolong, where people were killed? So when you do these things, you create the perception and you weaken the EC. And what they should know is that EC doesn't belong to them. Commissioners have come, they are gone. These commissioners will go. And like I will re-emphasize that if nobody will petition the president for these commissioners to be removed, SENCO as a civil society organization will not allow these lawless commissioners to remain there. We will use our institution to petition the president for these lawless commissioners to be removed, so that electoral commission will be sanitized. If not, when we allow these people, they will create and plunge this country into serious chaos, and we will all be at a disadvantage point.
Your commission at the moment is not working in favor of Ghana. Per what you're saying?
Not at all. They are not. They are not. That one, I can bet everything that from Jim Mensah, Bosman Asare, Sribo Koku, and Tete, these key commissioners are not working with the heart and interest of Ghana. They are just serving their own parochial interests, which they know what it is, and they are pushing this country into a dangerous path, which we must not sit down for them to destroy this country. You look around us, all the countries surrounding us are Francophone countries. I don't know how many of you speak French. And we shouldn't sit down for these few people to destroy this country for us. No.
Well, these are very strong words from you concerning the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission has been doing this work for a while now. They are the same people, the EC chair is the same one who declared the president-elect as president-elect. If at this time, in the work they are doing, in their line of duty, they believe that there are some discrepancies that must be looked at, don't you believe that it is in the favor of the nation that they correct their wrongs or they right their wrongs?
Madam, it is not what they believe. It is what the law says. And they work with the law and not work with their perception of what they believe in. It is not a church or a Buddhism or traditional worship, then that is what you believe that you do. It is a body mandated by law. You ought to go according to the law and know what you believe. If you want to all bring what we believe in, then whose belief are we going to be following? Your belief may be different from mine may be different for Dr. Tanko, and so on and so forth. So if you want to come that, oh, this is what I believe, and we are setting the law aside, then we'll get into absurdity and impunity, which will not augur well for this country. They ought to work with the law. Nobody is telling them they shouldn't do their work, but their work should be according to the law. If elections are declared under duress, the law provides the forum for those results should be what, or concerns should be addressed, and know what EC commissioners believe. It is what the law says.
Let me go back to Dr. Tanko. Dr. Tanko.
Very well.
Many believe that you are slighting the EC in that right from the get-go you have not been very pleased with the EC's work regardless of how they do the work. And so this may also be coming from a certain angle of we just are not going to be excited about anything the EC does. This is to slight them and make Ghanaians believe that the EC really is not up to task. What will you say about that?
Not at all, certainly not at all. I mean, you saw what happened. We praised them about the issue of how they resolved the Dominic Kwabinya. I mean, I was in the forefront. We praised the EC for being very dexterous in handling the Dominic Kwabinya issue. I mean, the process they took in resolving that matter. I mean, they were praised. You see, we are not out there to bastardize the institution. No, I've been saying it. We are partners in this business. In fact, they are major stakeholders. So whatever we are doing, and I told them in the mini IPAC meeting we held that, look, whatever we are doing is to assist you as an interested party. Ours is to assist you so that our democracy will be strengthened. The sanctity of our electoral process would be upheld. That is what we are doing as a party. And I didn't mince words in that. So if somebody sits somewhere and think that we are always against it, no, that is not the case. When they do right, we will praise them and congratulate them for having done right. But when they do wrong too, we won't allow it to glide. We will point it out because we don't want anything to disturb our democracy and our electoral system. We want our electoral system to be one of the best in Africa, if not in the world, so that others will come and understand and understudy what we are doing in Ghana. And so clearly what we are saying is that this is an innovation they are trying to put across, and that innovation is alien to our constitution and the CIs that operate our electoral system. It's alien, completely alien, and because we cannot allow that. Somebody who is dissatisfied with declarations will just run to the commissioners, and then they will decide and say, okay, because of some favors and all that, we are not going to uphold it. Call back a returning officer, come and do another recollation. If they are not satisfied with the returning officer, they will sack the returning officer in the morning, appoint another one in that very morning to come and do another collation and declare them. That's what happened at Tema Central. The gentleman who did those Brunia declarations for them was appointed in the morning, as well as Okaikwe Central. They were appointed in that very morning, 21st December, in the morning to come and do declarations, do collation and declarations. Is that what we want?
Dr. Tanko,
well, that's not fair enough.
Michael Boedi is a governance expert. He joins us. Let's speak with him and then we'll come back to the NDC on what to expect in the coming days. Hello, Michael. Good morning. Hello. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to your viewers and listeners, and good morning to you all.
Thank you for joining us. What are the governance gaps that we are looking at with all of this happening? What governance gaps could arise in the event that these contentions remain unresolved?
Can you please update me? I was not part of the conversation from the beginning.
So we are having the conversation about the application in court. The High Court has set January 4 on Saturday to look at the issues between the NDC and the NPP regarding the cases of contended seats. You remember that some seats, the EC had to redeclare them. The EC recollated the seats and declared them because they mentioned that there were some issues that arose, issues of declaration under duress, of incomplete coalition and all. And beyond that, the after the EC declared those seats, the results changed from one party to the other, mainly from the NDC to the NPP. The issue went to court. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has made some determination on it, and then it's come back to the High Court with a different judge now sitting and looking at the matter between the NDC, the NPP, and the EC. The EC says that indeed the court should allow them to do the recollation and then complete it because there are some gaps which could lead to a dangerous precedent set. The NDC also believes that the EC is not doing things as mandated by law, whereas the NPP believes that the application they have, they sought to do, that the EC must be compelled to finish the work, should stand. So at the end of the day, we have some seats at the moment that are still in contention. A few days to swearing in of the president and also of parliamentarians, MPs in parliament. So the question we are asking this morning to you, because you are a governance expert, is that what governance gaps could arise if the constituencies that are under contention remain unresolved before the swearing in?
Well, let me say that our democracy is evolving, it is growing. We are having challenges that we haven't, either we didn't anticipate or we haven't experienced before. The good thing is that we're all learning. Country as a whole is learning from these challenges that are emerging. We are resolving the challenges through a legal process or through the law court, which is beautiful. We are not resolving it through fights and misunderstanding. So, for me, let me just, as my background, let me say that we are going through a very interesting and a beautiful development process. As to whether there's going to be a gap, let's note that this is not the first time that MPs are not sworn in, or certain MPs will not be sworn in on the first sitting of Parliament. It's not the first time. I think the 8th Parliament or the 7th, Honorable Kennedy Japan was not in the jurisdiction also. One of them, forgive me if it's not Honorable Kennedy Japan, but a number of MPs or one MP was not in the jurisdiction. He was sworn in later. So, I mean, it's not a fatal blow to the work of Parliament. Secondly, it would not also mean that the constituencies will not be represented because, I mean, think about the fact that if we have vacancy in Parliament arising as a result of cross-carpeting or the death of an MP, it takes a period of time before the replacement is done. And therefore, within that period, what happens? Will not do we say that their constituencies are not represented, and therefore, what do we do? So I don't think it's a fatal blow. if we allow a few days or time for the right things to be done. Because the case is in court, I dare not, stampede or make any pronouncement. But I think that there will be a resolution eventually. And when there is a resolution, MPs the constituencies will have a representation, irrespective of which party it goes to. But I think that the right thing ought to be done. And the learning here is that I think that the coalition process was a bit problematic, and it had given room for all these challenges. But I will also plead with the political parties to allow the institutions to work. I think that the haste and the pressure and the challenges that they place on the political parties just to get a declaration done was unnecessary. The operative word is vigilance, but vigilance does not mean stampeding the institutions to work to make declaration. It means that they ensure that the declaration they make are the true reflection of the will of the people. So I think we all must take the blame for those of the political parties, and I don't say one political party or the other. I think all the political parties are guilty. They must accept the blame that they did not help in getting the institutions to work as effectively as we will expect them to work. And the EC must also take the blame. But the fact that also the processes also was not as efficient as we expected it to be. And therefore, it created room for these agitations and these things. So we are here today because collectively as a people, we did not do what we have to do, or we did not behave properly. And that is why we have these challenges. But like I said earlier on, there are lessons in there that we must learn. That, when after elections, vigilance does not mean, the unnecessary agitation, pressure, anger, destruction of property, burning of coalition papers. Eventually, we will have ourselves to blame. Whose money would be used to replace these things that are burnt, these things that, are destroyed? Whose money? It is the states, and the states' resources are resources from you and I. So I think there are good lessons that we have to learn. And then also, I believe that for all of us who believe that, in nation building, we must somehow get involved to ensure that there is trust and there is trust in the processes. So that once there is trust and confidence in state institutions and the processes, I think there will be more calmer and cooler heads to allow the institutions to work.
We'll look at the trust in the state institutions, and because before we went into the elections, conversations about the EC's conduct sought to, there were varying opinions, but one of the opinions that was flying high was the fact that the EC had opened itself up so that everybody could see the work they were doing, in that the EC sought to be as transparent with the Ghanaian people as possible. And so in the aftermath of the elections, all of these things happening goes to beg the question of whether indeed the EC was transparent, or whether indeed all that the EC sought to do to show that it was transparent is moot. And so we will look at that and what it prefers for our systems as a people. But let me go back to Dr. Tanko.
Can I just quickly make this intervention?
Please do. Please go ahead.
The political parties must learn from what is happening now. If you remember, Dr. Afarajan had a lengthy period. Afarajan made mistakes, corrected them, perfected them, and over the time, he was able to command a certain trust and confidence in people. This attitude of Every political party that assumes the reins of government wanting to change the EC is not going to help in strengthening the institution.
You're still watching ABC in the morning live on ABC News GH. We apologize for that technical hitch. But let's go back to our conversation. We are speaking with Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, who is the Deputy Director for Elections at the NDC. We're also speaking with Roxanne Konde at Senko, and also Michael Boedi, who is a governance expert. Michael was telling us about how the frequent change of commissioners at the Electoral Commission does not bode well for the institution's integrity. So we'll go back to him to continue the conversation with him. Hello, Michael. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we lost you at a point. Apologies. But you were making a submission before we lost you. You were taking us back to Afari Jan's time when he had the opportunity to work over the time and perfect some of the rough edges of the commission. However, you are saying that the frequent change in commissioners by the various parties is not boding well for the integrity of the institution. Why would you say that?
Yes, because you see, if the NDC appoints a commissioner or commissioners, the MPP is suspicious of the commissioners. If the MPP appoints commissioners, NDC will be suspicious of them. So, I mean, how are we building the institution? How is the institution itself learning with all these frequent changes? You know, so I think that the party, we must have a clear isolation of the EC from the political parties. You know, there must be a way in which, you know, we can get the hands of the political parties off the institutions. The EC has done this election. There must be some challenges. I mean, we must allow them to grow, to develop, to perfect themselves. It would, look, whether we like it or not, I don't believe that any electoral commission on its own can rig an election for any political party. If you lose, you've lost, irrespective of who appointed you. If you lose, you've lost. I mean, the evidence is here. When the NPP lost the 7th December election, the gap was so wide that what can the EC do? The EC cannot do anything about it. The current challenges that we have has very little to do with the voters or the voting. It has to do with the administration of the votes or the management of the vote. But here again, let's allow the institutions to work. Even though we need to hold the institutions accountable, there are proper systems through which we can hold them accountable, and the court is one of them. You know, so let us stop, taking the laws in our own hands. Let us stop, meddling or interfering in the work of the institution, and then allow the institutions to grow and perfect and then serve the country well. Anytime we play with these things, we turn around to be the victims. We change, and then the other one changes. Then the next time there is going to be an election, the same political parties cry foul or cry unfairness or bias. Why? Because they are overly meddling in the process such that they themselves are not able to build the trust they need to build in the institutions. Let's allow the institutions to work, and let's use the appropriate channels to hold the institutions accountable where they are erring.
Okay. Let me come back to you, Dr. Tanko. Dr. Rashid Tanko.
Yes, very well.
Yes.
Yeah, very well.
The NDC, should it happen that there's no, we don't find a resolution in the nearest possible time, that is before the swearing in, what is the contingency plan of the NDC?
Well, I believe, I strongly believe we'll find a resolution to this. Definitely. I mean, this is not an issue at all. Look, it's not an issue. Let me correct an impression that my good friend, you just finished interview, stated that the EC cannot rig elections. You know what is going on now? What is going on right now? If we hadn't stood our grounds, do you know that the EC officials were going to mess us up at Domi Kwabinya? That is what we are talking about. If you don't have an eagle eye on them, anything goes by. Like what is going on, the 4 constituencies. It is not the voters. Like he rightly said, in one vein, he was saying that, yes, the voters will decide. This one has nothing to do with the voters. They have cast their votes. They've done it. But officers who are supposed to do the work, put the results together, are the ones messing us up down. They are the ones giving us the problem, not the voters. Not the voters. If we have folded our arms and don't follow it through and put our eagle eye on them, your guests would have good advice. You know what they did on the 21st? The officers colluded with MPP and went and declared 7 constituencies for themselves. Pre-qua. What did he say about it? Was it the voters who declared the thing? They just did their own thing. Appointed their own officers, sat there, declared themselves one after the other, and started pouring powder on each other's face. And celebrating Burunya there. Was it the voters? If not, we had, because of Supreme Court, who stopped them, those illegal declarations were going to stand. And in that case, what was it going to be?
Dr. Tanko, let's listen to Michael. He seems to have something to add. Hello, Mr. Michael.
I'm just giving you an indication that, look, never say Electoral Commission cannot rig election. I am saying that I've been in this game for a very long time, and I know what they can do. It's very clear, and I'm telling you, in Ghana, our electoral system is a manual system. Allow these people, and they'll change figures and declare illegal people as winners. Okay. We have seen this several times.
I'll come back to this, but let's listen to Michael Boedi too. Please go on as you were.
Yeah, so, Dr. Tanko, so you agree that the resolution should be at the court, not the burning of the electoral materials, not the amassing supporters. That is what I'm saying. I'm saying that let us not, look, it's a human institution. There are bound to be bad nuts. There are bound to be all kinds of things. But the way to hold them accountable is the electoral system. I think that we should even get to a point where, you know, now the beauty is that the political parties are quickly, real life, able to collect their results. It would be nice to have had their results published at their website. We should have the data so that analysis are done. We are able to compare. We are able to juxtapose. You see, the more light we throw on the issue, the less able they are.
You have just 1 minute remaining.
Tanko.
Well, hello.
Yes. So.
Hello.
Dr. Tanko.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, I'm saying that clearly.
Dr. Tanko, coming back to you and the NDC and what we should be expecting. Like you were saying before, you wanted to react to what Michael Boedi said. Again, the contingency plan. You say that you do not want to believe that it will not be resolved. But what is the contingency plan?
I'm saying to be resolved. I'm very clear in my mind. On Saturday, I have my strong conviction that the trial judge will throw away this mandamus application. It doesn't make sense. If they want to challenge it, they should come with a proper application, an election petition to the High Court. Then we'll deal with the matter. They shouldn't disguise it, come through this backdoor method that they are trying to. This is an ambush tactics. They are trying to ambush the whole country in trying to do their illegal things. And so that one there, I'm very sure it will be resolved on Saturday, 12 noon. We'll be in court on that day to listen to the trial ruling on that matter. We'll take it on from there. But as to those other ones, we will make sure that we use legal way. That's why we believe in the rule of law as a political party. That is why we are in court. Okay, we believe in the rule of law. We are saying that, look, burning ballot boxes is neither here nor there. It has nothing to do with declarations and all that. It has nothing.
Really, it doesn't have any bearing.
Oh, it has no bearing. What bearing has it got? The results are declared, announced at the polling stations. And when they are announced, the pink sheets are filled. The form 8A and B are filled. As soon as the forms are filled properly and copies are given to agents, you see, the boxes are immaterial at that point. It is only High Court when they are asking for maybe recollation or recounting that they might need the boxes. Okay, but in terms of collating of results and its processes, the boxes are immaterial. It has no role whatsoever. It is only the pink sheets we use. That is why when you burn the boxes, they will still collate the results because the pink sheets are in handy. The pink sheets are not in the boxes. That's one thing they don't understand. Pink sheets are not put in the boxes. When they finish voting and then they count and declare the results at the polling stations, only the ballot papers are put back into the boxes with the counterfoils and all that and sealed. But the pink sheet doesn't go into the box. Okay, it doesn't. And so it's kept by the presiding officer. He sends it to the collation center for collation. And so that is what we are looking at. Subsequently, maybe the next thing we'll take in one of the electoral reforms we are looking at, maybe a copy of the pink sheet will have to get into the ballot box, because when there are challenges, issues about the authenticity of a pink sheet, it's always good to refer to the ballot box to see, because there are seals on it. If the seals are not broken and they is allowed to take out the pink sheet, we'll be able to see the original one. But now, what we see is that the pink sheets are with the presiding officers. Okay, and so if anything they want to do with it, like what is going on, we saw that when they did their Kokofu charade declarations at their offices over there, new pink sheets were being produced. They came with new pink sheets. Where did they get it from? Because the pink sheets are in the hands of the presiding officers. So these are the issues we are talking about. We believe in the rule of law, and we strongly believe on Saturday justice will be served to the good people of these 4 constituencies. They voted, and their candidates that they voted for were properly declared as winners of those constituencies. Right. And then the EC should not use their administrative processes to stop those declarations. They don't have those powers. They don't have it at all.
I'll come back to you. Michael Boedi joins us back on the line. But Michael, before I come to you, sir, we lost you. Apologies for that. Before I come back to you, let me go back to Roxanne Conde of Senko. We've left you on the line for far too long. Roxanne, in all of these things, what does this bode for our electoral process, our electoral system? What are some of the lessons we can be picking from the very interesting electoral process we've had in 2024?
Yeah, basically, I think that this goes further to strengthening our electoral process, to make it more transparent, to make it more engaging, and to allow people to know what actually happens at the Electoral Commission. And those who are pulling and pushing electoral commissioners or commission to do the needful are not seeking to destroy the institution. We are looking to better the Electoral Commission going forward. And if not, the political parties are very vigilant. Let me tell you, Electoral Commission can engage in rigging election, and they can actually rig election for people. For instance, look at what happened in 2020 concerning Hohoi and Sa people. Are you telling me Electoral Commission didn't rig the election for Amewu. Pure gerrymandering. A day to election.
On what basis do you say that in 2020 Electoral Commission rigged the election for Honorable Peter Amewu? This would have to come with some evidence.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to give you the evidence. I have been monitoring that constituency very well. And you notice that the area that Electoral Commission calls out from participating in the election a day to the general election is the area NDC parliamentary candidate was coming from. And we all know that in Ghana, most of our voting patterns vote based on the relationship. So if you cut that out, meaning that in a way you have disenfranchised the candidate people and you are putting that candidate into a disadvantageous position. That is gerrymandering. And it is only Electoral Commission that can do this, no any other body. And they didn't do that with any law, just pure impunity. How can Electoral Commission conduct election? Then at the end, they bring a pink sheet. That is completely different from the duplicate they have given to political parties. How can you convince me that Electoral Commission cannot rig election? Two, let me tell you, election is a process. And if you dare joke that Electoral Commission cannot rig election, you will laugh at the wrong side of your mouth. Can you tell me, can anybody tell me presidential results of 2020? For the first time, we've seen the commissioner declaring result more than 3-4 times. And you tell me Electoral Commission cannot manipulate and declare result for somebody. And when we are calling for people to be sanctioned or to be removed, it is not about hating or changing them to make the institution weak. If you are there and you are doing the right thing, people will not call for you to be removed. But if you are there and seek to serve your interest, people will call for you to be removed. And if removing you will make the institution weak, we will remove you so that the right thing is done. And when people are misbehaving and you don't punish them and say, oh, when we punish them, we'll make the institution weak, there will not be institutional memory, then we are virtually encouraging impunity in the system. And we must not allow this. Look, which institution change their leaders more than Ghana Army or Ghana Police Service? But Ghana Army is still like a disciplined institution because they know that they ought to work according to the law. If we were not changing leaders of Ghana Police Service, we wouldn't have seen IGP Dampare, Dr. Dampare, which to me is one of the best IGPs we have ever seen. He may not be perfect, he may not be error-proof, but he has done a yeoman's job. So if people at EC, commissioners, are not doing the needful, we cannot say changing them will weaken the institution. And in any case, how many commissioners have been changed in this circumstance apart from Salotro said? And they brought in these people who think that they are coming to, they should better sit up, or else we'll go after them to do the rightful. And if the right thing is not done, we'll get them out through legal means.
So you're calling for the removal of the EC chair and her commissioners?
I'm calling for the removal of EC chair, Boss Manasari and co. And I would definitely use our CSO to pursue that. Now they are not talking about duress in declaring results. When they flatly deny local observers accreditation to observe election, what was their motive?
I was going to come to
what was their motive?
That is this concern about the EC coming up because of the denial of some observers from observing the election. Senko raised concerns that EC had not given them accreditation to observe the elections. Is this coming from that angle?
The EC is now complaining that their officers were declared the result under duress. And what I'm saying is that if you had allowed these local observers to be part of what the system, the electoral process, they would have come out to collaborate or deny your story that indeed these guys declared the results under duress. Now, they were focused on giving the accreditation to the foreign observers. Where are they? They have all gone back to their countries. Now, We are settled with the challenges to resolve the problem now. And because they knew that the local observer would have monitored and determined whether these processes were free, fair, and transparent or not, and that may not serve their interest, they deny most of them, including Senko accreditation. What will EC lose for the first time in history? That EC denied most of the local observers accreditation to observe elections. What was special about 2024 election?
Since we are on that tangent, why did the EC deny local observers? Did they give you a reason for denying your request?
There is no reason. The only letter is one sentence letter. We are unable to do what? To grant you accreditation to observe, to monitor the results. That's all. Nothing else, nothing more. We even wrote back to them to demand the reasons why we were denied accreditation. Nothing. I follow up at EC every day. There was a day I stayed at EC from morning 7 o'clock to evening 10 p.m. for the commissioner, Reverend, I think, Boating, to come and tell me that they can't give me reason. And in fact, they say one of the criteria is that he might have worked with them before. So I saw Senko's working relationship with ISIS far back at 2008. Far back at 2008, every single election. And as recent as Asinov by election, we deploy observers. I saw everything to them. So on what basis are you denying me?
Well,
you see, in fact, that very day, Jim Mensah came to me and asked him, "Oh, you've been here since morning. What's the challenge?" I told her we were following up on our credit. And she asked me, "How many do you need?" I said, "If you get 50 to 100, it should be fine." He said, "Okay, I'm calling Reverend back. She will sort you out." And I stayed, that was 6 o'clock. I stayed till 10 p.m. The Reverend came back and said, "Oh, she had a meeting with Jim Mensah and the decision still stand." Then I asked, what is the basis of denying us accreditation? They couldn't give us. How can you be an institution and work with such impunity and say we should allow you to stay there? The commission belongs to Ghanaians, not the individual. And if you are put there, you are put there to do the right thing in the interest of the country. And when you are doing the right thing, I don't care which political party wins power. My main concern and Senko's concern is that do the right thing, do the needful. And when they did the right thing, when they conducted the special voting, you on your station here, I told you I will give them 90%. 90% for the exercise they conducted during the special voting. So if you are not doing the right thing, you don't expect me to come and sit down and say, because if I criticize you, I'm weakening the institution. I must put it up to you the same way we could put it to political parties that they are not doing the right thing. We'll put it to Ghana Police Service, Ghana Army, any other institution. We must not allow EC to engage in lawlessness and say weakening the institution. No, the right thing must be done.
Okay. Let me come back to you, Michael. You were also giving us a submission. We lost you at some point. The two other guests seem not to agree with you on the tangent on EC in certain way. As for Roxanne, he's been very vocal about this at the moment. EC must be removed if EC is not doing its work. Governance experts, where you stand, looking at the governance of our nation, the EC and the EC's role, how can we further boost the strength of EC in these times?
Well, I think that I don't want to get into the arguments or banter. For me, individuals have expressed their opinion. Roxanne believes EC must go simply because EC did not give him accreditation. Because EC did not give him accreditation. Because if hello, Roxanne, I kept quiet when you were speaking. I had a position. But I'm not misrepresenting you. But that is what you said. You said that when the EC did the special voting, you gave him 90%, and that when. But you just said that when he did a special voting, you gave him 90%. You gave them 90%, and then this one you said they should go. And then when you progressed on and on and on, you then elaborated your challenge. So of all the things that you said, there was only one thing that you said which you think they did not do right. They are this thing because they did not give you accreditation. You didn't say any other thing. So my conclusion is that because they did not allow local observers, including yourself, I would have loved that, there would be more transparency. But I mean, I won't jump to the conclusion that because you were not given accreditation, there is a fatal injury. It's the learning, like you rightly said. Perhaps 2028 election, we will all advocate for a lot more local accreditation. Let's advocate for more accreditation. What I'm saying is that there are ways in which we can hold the EC accountable. Let's explore all those ways and limit the frequency to which we are changing the people at the institution. Parliament is suffering because anytime the Constitution is overthrown, Parliament goes with it. All other institutions stay. So we keep weakening the institution by our overly involvement or meddling in the institutions. Look, if there are processes, if you think that the electoral commissioners have broken the law and that the violation they have committed is so grievous they should go, well, that is your position. Others may have a different opinion. I cannot contest you on that. But all I'm saying is that we, as a country, we must get to the point where we build people, we let people learn, we encourage people, and then at the same time, we call on these same people to demonstrate trust, to demonstrate worthiness of trust. That's all. I don't have any other prescription. But I think that so long as we are not replacing the leaders of the institution, the commissioners, with any other persons, but same Ghanaians and same human beings, one way or the other, they may falter. They'll get certain things right, they'll falter. But it is the way we hold them accountable, the way we encourage them, and then also the way we support them, that will let them grow and be more, will perfect the system. No institution just as soon as you appoint them, knows the rules and perfect it. In the process, they may falter, but as we hold them accountable, as we correct them, as we support them, they perfect, and then Ghana becomes the ultimate beneficiary in the long run.
Some say that the EC has now conducted 2 elections. You're talking about perfection. When they stay, they will be, they would better do the job. But this is a process that needs precision, that requires that you do the work to the T. For how long? Should we allow the EC another 4 years when maybe there could be another group of people who, if given their mandate, will do the job better than the EC? Maybe we should be looking at another.
Well, unless you have those group of people, I don't know. So unless you do, because I don't know, I'm not going to advise people to hasten to be changing institution. I would say that let's be cautious, let's hasten slowly, let's reduce the process. Where, as we speak now, I don't think we have, as a body, I don't know whether there is any institution that had really reviewed the whole electoral process and identified the gaps that came up. And then we, as a country, we have a conversation on how we deal with the gaps. We shouldn't arrogate the powers of managing state institutions to some few people. There should be more inclusive. It should be more scientific. This whole electoral process must be reviewed. We must look at what went well, what didn't go well. Look, if you take NDC as an institution, I'm sure they review themselves. They establish a much stronger collation process or electronic collation process. And this time round, but before the elections, the EC even declared they had their collated results and they know where they stood. I mean, MPP had done theirs. We need to look at all these things. We need to review all the whole electoral processes, holistically, and identify what went wrong and how do we perfect it before we start jumping over ourselves. But if we cherry pick, we pick this one, let's do this, and then some people say we should do that. I mean, we are not. Let's have a consensus. Build it. Well, let's review it and then build consensus on the way forward. And then collectively, we all agree that maybe if we take these steps, it will help. If we take that step, it will. If collectively, as a people, we all believe that the commissioners has not served the country well, and therefore there is consensus on changing them, why not? But and so far as we are so divided as to where the way forward, and we don't have empirical data or information to suggest comprehensively what went wrong and how do we strengthen what went wrong and how do we build on what the gains that we make. I think that it is too early in the day to be, pointing fingers and jumping, over ourselves on what to do.
Well, it's too early to be jumping over ourselves. I'll come back. Let me go to Dr. Tanko. Dr. Tanko, the NDC, this whole dispute and all, what has this done for your party? Has it strengthened your systems? Has it made your party a stronger party than it was even before we entered into the elections?
Very well, dear. For us as a political party, we know very well that the Electoral Commission, as it is now, need a lot of resetting. I mean, the whole country. I mean, if you look at a lot of our institutions, we need a lot of resetting over there to bring it in tandem with the vision and mission of our framers of our 1992 Constitution. Clearly, you see, we cannot have independent bodies like that being allowed to be infiltrated by political actors. As soon as you do that, they lose their confidence and trust of the people. Like this current one, like what my good friend was talking about. Yes, it is not within the domain of the NDC to go after our officers of the EC and say that we want to sack them or do that. No, that is not it. Everybody is going to be measured with your work, okay? I mean, everybody is going to be measured. I mean, the president is not a vindictive type. Everybody knows His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He's not a vindictive type. He's not a type who will go after people and said, I don't like your face, I'm going to sack you and all that. No, he's not that type. Everybody will be measured. I mean, the measuring system will be put out there. Your output and all that will show whether you need to continue to be in office or not. I mean, that one will be there. The benchmark will be put out there. And then so clearly, you cannot appoint a hardcore party people into the commission and expect people to have confidence in that commission. You have these difficulties. When they started appointing party hardcore MPP fanatics into the commission, we warned them about it. We told them, what you are doing is not good. It's not good. You are going to create serious difficulties for the running of our election in this country. Because I cannot be cross-firing somebody always on TV, on radio, about government policies and all that. And then tomorrow, I hear that the person is sitting as a commissioner at the Electoral Commission. How do you expect me to respect decision coming from a person like that? These are the difficulties we are having. I mean, successive commissioners, they didn't have those challenges. Nobody knew where Afarijan was coming from. He's leaning and all that. Nobody knew. He did his job fantastic. We had no problem with him. He retired honorably, and Charlotte came. Charlotte was NCC commissioner. She was in charge of NCC. Nobody knew of any political leaning of Charlotte whatsoever. And so when Charlotte came and started, but these people came and put up some trump charges. In fact, they just trumped up some charges and said what they were talking of procurement breaches and all that, and remove all of them. And remove all of them. Do you know the number of procurement breaches we have in Ghana currently? Across all sectors. Across all sectors. And that's why I'm saying tomorrow is pregnant. We are not vindictive. We are not going to go after people and start sacking them. But people will understand that, look, for myself, what I've just seen, I don't think I can continue to work here. I would think I have to step aside. We should reach a stage like that in a country. Look, that's why I like it. If you get to United States or China and all those areas, people just look at themselves and step aside and see that, look, my output, no, I can't continue. I need to step aside. I'll let another person come in. We don't have that culture in Ghana. Ghana, unless people are pushed. When you don't push, they don't go. They are forced, and they look at the mess we are grappling with, the economy. Because some people refuse to resign as ministers and all that, and CEOs. They refuse to resign and preside over this reckless running of the economy until where we are. But if they had resigned honorably and allow others to take over, maybe they would have injected new ideas and all that, and things would have been better for Ghanaians. But this culture that we have in Ghana, I think we have to move away from it. Somebody will be in office and know that what I'm doing is not good. The people don't like what I'm doing. The country is going down the drain, and yet the person is still holding on to their position. What is that? That's where we are. And so people must reach that stage. And I've been saying, for instance, we need not to ask certain CEOs to honorably resign after January 7th. We did not. They themselves must tender in their resignation and leave the post. Because, look, you campaign vigorously against NDC, against our policies, and yet Ghanaians have overwhelmingly voted for us. We are coming to implement our policy, and you want to sit in the office as a CEO to implement our policies. Does it make sense to anybody?
If they have the technical know-how, Dr. Tanko, Dr. Tanko, so if they can do the work,
they have what?
If they have the know-how,
they have technical know-how.
Yes, if they can do the work.
The technical know-how he has was what he used for the MPP and campaign against our policy. He thinks our policies are not good. We cannot be implemented. And today,
Dr. Tanko, I thought some time ago conversations were that we should depoliticize certain things, so much so that if somebody has the ability to do the work, you do not need to bother which side of the political divide they are coming from. If they can't do the work, they should do it. So if you say that someone vigorously campaigned for a political party, it means they should step aside. Doesn't it defeat that campaign that was raised some time ago about allowing people to work when they can work? Dr. Tanko. Hello, Dr. Tanko. Well, we will do well to establish more contact with Dr. Tanko, who is the Deputy Director for Elections and IT for the NDC. But let me take final words from Roxanne and Michael, and then we will be wrapping up with the segments. Roxanne, let me come back to you. You watch all of these about our elections, and this is how far we've gone. After things have, if things come to a head and we understand all, what would you say? What are some of the prescriptions you will have for our electoral process moving on into the years to come? Okay, so we will try and also establish contact with Roxanne. But Michael, hello.
Yes, dear.
Yes. Let me pick your thoughts on our electoral process moving on. Elections obviously has everything to do with governance. So let's marry it in just 30 seconds before I even come back to take your final words.
Well, hello?
Yes, Michael, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You said the election has everything to do with governance. So we should...
Let's marry it and see how we can have a very comfortable system, electoral process.
No, but you see, the governance process is established. I don't think anybody has a problem with the institution as a whole. The institutions are set out clearly by law, and nobody had raised problems with the institution. the challenges people are elaborating has to do with the individuals, the persons that feel the positions within the institution. And therefore, I think that we have come far to the point where either the Peace Council or one institution of state should lead a conversation. CSOs could pick it up. IDEC has done a lot of work around election. We could lead a conversation and assess what went right with the 2024 elections. What are the lessons? What are the gaps? Okay. And then probably make a policy prescription or a policy suggestion to the state, to the government, and then decisions can take on. But at least before then, let's build consensus on the way forward. Perhaps when we could even do a regional engagement on the election. We have a regional forum to discuss what went right, what went wrong, pick up suggestions, and then we can collate all these suggestions and then develop a policy brief or a policy prescription for governments to follow. And when we do that, I believe that, and then when we do that and we have the buy-in of all actors, all stakeholders, I believe that we would have a better and a clearer way forward than cherry picking.
Okay. Dr. Sanko, let me come back to you. Entering into swearing in, President-elect will be sworn in and by next week would have assumed office as president. We'll look at your approach to governance. But before we look at the approach, you were telling us about some CEOs honorably resigning. I came back with the conversation about the fact that some time ago, there was more about allowing people to work regardless of party affiliation. So when you say that people who have campaigned for certain parties should honorably resign, doesn't it defeat the purpose of building a country regardless of party affiliation?
You see, when you are a CEO, it's supposed to be a public service job. Now, you are appointed to do a public service job, and then you go and align yourself into political activities. You are on platforms, you are all over in political activities, campaigning vigorously against your opponent, thinking that your opponent policies are not good. It's not, they are not policies that can be implemented and all that. And yet your opponent wins an election. And you want to run back to now sit in the office to implement the policies you are against with. It's not hypocritical. It's not hypocritical.
So, Dr. Tanko, why
doesn't make sense to you?
But won't the NDC rise above that?
I'm asking you, if you are a president, will you allow such a person to implement a policy, he bastardize you? Like these policies, let me give you an example. You know that the Buffer Stock CEO was a candidate for MPP, parliamentary candidate. He was a parliamentary candidate.
But not all the CEOs are parliamentary candidates. I'm giving
an example. Not all CEOs we are talking of. I'm saying that those who were known to be political actors, publicly, everybody knows it, by now should tender in their resignation. Do you want us to push you? You should resign. Of course, you know that nobody needs to tell you. You should just step aside. If
won't your party rather say that let's show Ghanaians that we are able to rise above all of these things?
Rise above what?
You said the president-elect is not vindictive. You said he's not vindictive. You give everybody an opportunity. So how about you rise above it and allow people to continue working?
No, I'm saying that being not vindictive is different from being implementing our policies. These are our policies. We have campaigned that we are going to make sure that, look, we'll implement 24-hour economy. And these are the things that we are going to do under 24-hour economy. You came on board and said, we rubbish it, and said nothing of that sort can happen in Ghana. It won't work, what and what and what. All manner of rubbish they threw at us. Now we have won election. Overwhelmingly, 57% Ghanaians voted for us. They said these people want it. Over 180 members of parliament. Then you run back to the office to come and sit down and now want to implement your policies for you. I'll be the officer to implement. Hypocritical.
Okay. Atanko, well established, hypocritical,
please, but just tender in your resignation before you are pushed. Because that one they won't allow it. You just resign honorably. We have no problem with you.
Okay.
If you don't resign, yes, we know how to push you.
Right. Well established.
We don't want any reactionary officer in the office to come in and make sure that our policies are not properly implemented.
Let me take
we want Ghanaians to benefit from it.
Okay. Please end. Please end.
I'm saying that we want Ghanaians to have a full benefit of the economy that the NDC is coming to run. We want Ghanaians to have a full benefit of it, so that if anything is going untoward, they will hold us responsible. We don't want any reactionary officer to sit in the office and do anything against our policies just because he thinks that he's a technical officer. We won't allow it. Ghanaians suffered for 8 years under this terrible regime. Certain officers contributed to that. Certain CEOs all contributed to the terrible economy that we are having. We are not going to allow them to continue to be in the office, to continue to mess our government up. Please, we are telling them, honorably tender in your resignation and go. You are not the only Ghanaian.
Okay.
NDC will have our team.
All right.
The Ghanaians voted for us because they know our team is coming to deliver. Did they attend schools in Jupiter and we attended schools in Plateau? And you think that they have technical know-how more than NDC? We have been in government before, severally. So people should not think that we are coming with some coconut heads.
Thank you.
We have better heads that we are coming to deliver the goods and they will see it. So please, we are telling them, January 7th is coming. By January 8th, we don't want problems in the offices. Please, don't let the NDC push you.
But Dr. Sanko, are you saying that because of that, every time there's a change in government, we'll continue to see these changes? We are building a nation. We want to get to a point.
Can't you see changes? Can't you see that ministers are being changed? Are they not going?
So because ministers are changed,
CEOs, I'm coming.
You just said that. But you said that it's a public office to hold.
Yes, I'm giving you an example. Not all CEOs are going to ask that to go. People have come up publicly and they have campaigned vigorously on platforms. Some were even candidates. I gave you an example. A full CEO became a parliamentary candidate and lost. So you want him on January 8th to come back to the office and sit there with his long tie and other things, say that I'm the CEO for this place. To do what there?
All right, Dr. Sanko.
If you are a president, will you allow this?
Let me
say people I'm talking of, they should resign. Not everybody. Look, there are fine gentlemen in Ghana who are, they have been in public service, they have risen to that rank, and they are there. Fine gentlemen and women, very talented. Nobody has problem with them. They have never delved into any politics. No, they haven't. We'll come
back and have more extensive conversations on this. As today we're looking at the court matter, but we'll have more extensive conversation on this. Understand the NDC's position and all. Let me pick 30 seconds final thoughts from Roxanne and then we can end the conversation. Hello, Roxanne. Your final thoughts on all the conversations we've been having. There will be a determination on January 4th. From where you said Senko, electoral process, you've told us that in what you think about the ECs, but our whole electoral process, what will be a prescription you give to make us better?
The best prescription is that we should get people who are nationalistic. They don't think about which political party wins election. When we're able to get such persons, and we have gotten such person before, like Afarijan, our electoral process will be the best, and this country will know the peace we are all seeking to achieve. And let me get it clear again, that me saying that Senko will petition for EC commissioners to be removed is not because we're not giving accreditation. You cannot be on one job for 8 years and consistently you are making mistake, you are breaching the law, you are acting with impunity, and things that we should still give you time. 8 years is enough. If 4 years we are mandated to change the president or retain a president, which is the most highest institution in the country, what's so special about electoral commission that will allow somebody 8 years and is still asking for time to adjust to the position? Look, we need right people. I don't care whether these people are competent or not, but what I care is that they are biased, they are not working for the interests of Ghana, and they are likely to set this country on fire, and we must not allow these people to remain there. Let's get correct people who would think about Ghana, people who will say, this is Ghana. I will not bow to political pressure or my political affiliation. I will work with Ghana first.
Okay. Roxanne, we are
These
grateful.
people are the right people to lead Electoral Commission going forward.
Most grateful for your time this morning. We'll do
Thank
well
you.
for more
Thank you.
conversations. And Michael, we are also grateful for your time today.
Thank you, and God bless Ghana.
God bless Ghana. Thank you. So, Roxanne Conde is with Senko. Michael Boedi is a governance expert, and Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is the Deputy Director for Elections at the NDC. We've been having conversations about post-elections. After the December 7 election, so many conversations have come up. On January 4, which is Saturday, the High Court will make some determinations on some disputed or contested seats. Be rest assured that we will bring you all of the happenings when the High Court makes its determination. That's all for our main discussion this morning on ABC in the morning. We will take a break when we come straight into politics today.
This is where the headlines are probed. Policies scrutinized through an objective lens with an unbiased approach to every discussion. Key in to a series of pulsating conversations with the hard questions.
Why do you still want to run when you have failed?
I haven't. What do you mean by failed?
In-depth analysis of policy proposals.
If it is a temporary program, why do we want to still create another gold reserve exchange program also to address a temporary issue?
If you introduce a temporary measure and you realize that the temporary measure works and is sustainable, you have to rethink whether or not it should just be temporary.
And every agenda and positions intellectually debated to set the record straight.
Look, you still don't answer the question now.
Go on.
Question is, if Article 78(1) is anything to go by, your ministers of state largely are supposed to come from the parliament.
Yes.
The law says that not less than 10 and not more than 19. So these are your cabinet, your ministers of state you're going to get. How do you intend to resolve? Have you thought about managing that hurdle?
Absolutely. If I hadn't, I probably would not get on the fray to do this.
On Focus on ABC, we focus on the matter, the personality, and the answer beyond the rhetoric. Focus on ABC shows every Thursday at 7 p.m. only on ABC News Ghana Television.
Well, you're welcome back. Still watching ABC in the Morning live on ABC News GH. We're streaming on our YouTube channel, ABC News GH. Into politics today, the Constitutional Review Consultative Committee, CRCC, has on December 31 submitted its report to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and they're recommending a cap on the number of members of parliament in parliament to 277. The committee, which was inaugurated by the MP for the Swami constituency and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu, on April 28, 2023, was tasked to, among other things, review the 2011 report of the Constitution Review Committee to examine various submissions, proposals, and reports on constitutional review from institutions like KNUST, IEA, University of Ghana, UPSA, and GIMPA to make recommendations to the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and its partners, such as the NCCE, ASET, CDD, IDEG, NDPC, and others, to submit a report to the Minister on the committee's preliminary suggestions for firm recommendations for reviewing the 1992 Constitution. In its report, the committee suggested that Article 47 be reviewed to read as: Ghana shall be divided into as many constituencies for election of members of parliament as the Electoral Commission may prescribe. However, the number of constituencies shall not exceed 277. The consultative committee also recommended that Article 93 of the 1992 Constitution be amended to read as follows: There shall be a Parliament of Ghana which shall consist of not more than 277 elected members. The consequence of this is that it is necessary to make significant amendments to Article 47 in order to establish a numerical limit on the number of constituencies that Ghana is required to maintain. So we'll take a look at some of the recommendations made and proposed by the committee. Let's take a look at these recommendations by the Constitution Committee. General Amendment Procedure of the Constitution. The recommendation is that the amendment procedure for entrenched provisions should be done in separate individual bills, each focusing on one subject matter. Each proposed amendment bill must be voted on separately, but multiple amendments can be presented in a referendum as long as they allow separate voting on each. For Parliament, the committee recommends capping the size of Ghana's Parliament to 277 elected members. Thus, Article 97 of the Constitution should be amended to state: There shall be a Parliament of Ghana which shall consist of not more than 277 elected members. And Article 47 should also be amended to set a maximum of 277 constituencies for the election of members of Parliament. On appointment of ministers from Parliament, the committee recommends that the President should have the option to appoint persons, including members of Parliament, as ministers. However, a member of Parliament appointed as a minister must vacate their seats. On appointment of ministers and deputy ministers, the committee suggested placing a cap on the number of ministers and deputy ministers a president can appoint. The proposed upper limit for appointments is 55. On decentralization and local government, the committee recommended that MMDCEs should be elected by registered voters in a public election. A municipal or district chief executive is elected if they receive a simple majority of valid votes. The MDCE office can only become vacant due to a vote of no confidence supported by at least 2/3 of the district assembly members. by resignation or death, or by disqualification or ineligibility under Article 94 of the Constitution. On declaration of assets, the committee recommends that the Auditor General verify assets declared by public officers. A certificate of verification should be issued to the individual after the verification process. The Auditor General must audit asset declarations to ensure assets are legitimately acquired or reasonably linked to income. Also, any assets acquired after the initial declaration that cannot be reasonably attributed to income, gifts, loan, inheritance, or other legitimate sources will be considered acquired in violation of the Constitution. And this is what the Constitutional Review Committee, the Constitutional Review Consultative Committee, preferred after it was taxed in 2023. Very key is that they are calling for the size of Parliament to be capped at 277 seats. The size of Parliament be capped at 277 seats. Clement Akolo is with Parliamentary Network Africa. Let's speak with him on this recommendation. Good morning, Clement. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Clement, the Constitutional Review Consultative Committee says that MPs must be capped at 277. You are a parliamentary watcher. You pay so much attention to Parliament. Is this is what they are preferring right for us at this moment?
All right. Thank you very much. Good morning to our viewers as well. This particular issue about capping Parliament is something that is long overdue. I mean, at a point in time, Parliament must be capped, especially looking at our nation and the, the population and all that, our resources and all that. So at a point in time, it must be capped. But I'm not too sure whether the 277 is the right cap. I'm saying that based on the fact that there are certain things that must be shaped when it comes to our parliamentary representation. For instance, when it comes to affirmative action, women representation and all that, we are thinking that we must find innovative ways of making sure that the women representation is put at a particular point that we are comfortable with, and then we'll be able to meet up the world standard. And we are thinking that maybe the remaining seats, if we are capping it at 277 or maybe 280 or maximum 300, how do we make sure that the remaining seats that in future we may be leaving, those ones will be used appropriately to address the gender issues and then the affirmative action issues and all that. Then when we are capping, we know that we have done representation at all levels. And I would think that there must be some further consultation on that particular point so that we'll close the deal. We are saying this advisedly because we also know that there are some constituencies that are very, very large, and there may be a need for division and all those things, and readjustment and all those things. When we are doing those readjustments, how do we put them and ensure that the population is fairly represented? And we think that these are some of the innovative ways that we can look at. Now that we are also pushing the point that there should be strict division of powers, where Parliament or legislature stands on its own, as executive stands on its own. It will mean that then the members of Parliament will have to properly represent their people, and then there should be a handful of people that they are representing that they can have regular surgeries with, that they can actually have consultations with that will be a representative of their constituents in Parliament. So we are thinking that some of this discussion must be further deliberated upon so that we come to a proper conclusion. Not that after that we go back and start tinkering with reversing the issues once more.
You said that at most, if we have a 300 seats cap, in all of these things, what kind of benefits will this capping of parliaments bring to the people of Ghana? You have mentioned indeed that we need to do more broader consultation, make sure that there isn't underrepresentation for certain groups of people. But when we cap parliament, how are we going to make sure that we get the benefits of it, if there are any benefits to capping parliament?
Yes, the benefits that will come from capping is that we will all be sure in our minds that this is where we are. The members of parliament, or we are no longer increasing constituencies. This is what we have. Finish. So that future governments, what we know is that the governments have been using creation of constitutions to actually further their own agenda to ensure that they get political gains out of those things. But when we come to a conclusion and we say that maybe we are capping it at 300, for instance, already we know that we have a large number of constituencies. The reason why we are saying that capping it at 300 or going forward is that you have already created the constituencies. Taking them back may be difficult, that you are going back and then all the members of parliament, are you disappointing them, or what are you going to do? It's going to be difficult. And looking at the affirmative action too, are you going to say that all members of parliament who are male should no longer contest when they are going, or you are having a quota for, let's say, female representation? Are you going to remove those ones and put the females there? So we are thinking that then, if we are serious about affirmative action and gender representation and all that, then we can use this as a tool to actually initiate some of these things to ensure that fairly all the population that we want to touch on are properly represented, including people living with disability, and all those things are properly represented. And that time we are going to look at some quota for starters, for, let's say, some gender or some concerns that we are looking at. Then we know that we are done. And the benefit we'll be getting is that we would have addressed some of the inequality in the society, and then we would have addressed our minds towards further political tinkering with our constituency creation and all those things. We would have finished with that.
Okay. Well, we'll be looking at all of this. I'm particularly more concerned, or I'm more interested in the affirmative action part of it. Some will ask that, so would you say that if we are capping at 300, the 23 or 24 seats that will be added to make it 300, we should say that all of the candidates in those places or in those constituencies should be women, so that we will ensure that at the end of the day, a woman will be the one who will be elected into parliament?
Yes, so at that point in time, we are agreeing. I think Rwanda did it. Some few countries did it. That they know that they have a quota system for women. So they began and said that this 30% of seats from here is going to be earmarked for women. So in that case, the rest, that is the 24, if we are agreeing to 300, the 24 that will be left, all political parties that seek to contest in those constituencies must present women. So we know that at the end of the day, whoever wins is going to be a woman. If we are earmarking, let's say, 10% or 5% for people living with disability and all that. We also know that all the political parties and whoever is interested in that seat must present people with living with disability. And that in that case, we will be targeting and will be addressing particular issues in our, and if we're saying that we want youth in it, then we can say that we want representation. These are examples that I'm giving. We want representation from this particular age group up to this particular age group. Then we are having targeting, we are looking at something to address a particular situation or a particular inequality in our society. Right. That is the proposal that we are trying to put on board.
I ask this because the concerns about tokenism keeps coming up, that in a whole group, let's appoint 1 or 2 women out of the lot to certain positions, and then at the end of the day, everybody should be comfortable with it, because aren't you happy that we appointed someone from the minority group as part of it? So if indeed we are doing this, then it means that we are going to make a very conscious effort to make sure that representation from any of the groups we are looking at is seen and is seen well in Parliament. That is why I ask this question about the capping.
Yeah, so I think that going forward, we must be deliberate about the way we deal with our representation, and even how we take decisions when it comes to the national space. I think we have done things on ad hoc basis for far too long, and counting into 3 decades and more of parliamentary democracy and even our Republican constitution or democracy, I think that it is time now for us to be deliberate about certain things, fill up the gaps that we have found along the way, and be deliberate about them, know exactly what we want to achieve out of them before we take the steps. So if we are thinking of capping, how do we take advantage of that to conclude on some of these political pitfalls that we find ourselves in every now and then? Then we close that chapter. Everybody is clear in his mind that this is where we are. We have concluded with this. If we are looking at affirmation action and gender inequality and all those things, can we say that at this point in time we are doing this to set them off? So maybe we can say that from beginning, for the first 2 elections or 3 elections, we expect that these particular seats will be gender friendly. And then after that, we are not going to say that these seats are going to continually be so, but you set them off so that later on, if the representation is worthwhile, we expect that it will snowball into other constituencies if we get the benefit of what we have been touting as female representation, maybe youth representation, or people with disability representation. As we go forward and we see the benefits, then the population themselves will pick them up and then continue with it. We think that these are some of the ways that we can be innovative about our representation in Parliament and other spaces going forward, instead of the tokenism that you talked about earlier on.
Before I let you go, finally on this capping, will the cap enhance our parliamentary efficiency, or could it rather create challenges in legislative decision making?
It will not be a panacea to all the challenges in our legislative space, but it is definitely a starting point. And it's a starting point because when you are definite about what you think should be a representation of your people in Parliament, you have closed that chapter. It is closed. We are no longer going to look at a future situation about how to deal with those issues anymore. So that is closed. Then you are looking at other ways of enhancing the work of Parliament and ensure that Parliament remains independent to do its work as it ought to do. And some of the proposals that we have talked about is allow Parliament to be Parliament and allow the executive to be executive. If we further push the point to where we are able to decouple the executive from the legislature by taking away the clause that allows the executive to intrude into parliament with appointment, then we will now be raising career parliamentarians who are going in there because they want to really be legislators, so that now the people will be sensitized about what legislators are supposed to do, the representation of the people, the advocacy that they must do on behalf of the people without looking at appointment from the executive. Then we can have proper scrutiny in parliament to aid our governance system, rather than what we have now, where you are in parliament, but the parliamentarians pander towards the executive and pamper the executive that belongs to their government when it comes to scrutiny. In that case, we are only having one-sided parliament trying to police the executive. But that is not the reason for parliament. The reason for parliament is to be an oversight over the executive so that we can have proper governance going forward.
Clement, we are grateful for your time. Most definitely we'll come back for more conversations with you.
Thank you too.
Clement Akolo is with Parliamentary Network Africa. We're having conversations about the capping of Parliament as suggested by the Constitution Review Consultative Committee. It says that we should cap Parliament at 277. Clement says that, I'm left to him, we should look at 300. And also by capping, we should also make sure that we are enabling the representation of some groups. Very important representation in Parliament. That's all for politics today. We'll take a breather. When we are back, Happier is next. Happy, I will give you the opportunity to send your best and well wishes to your friends and your loved ones. If you want to do that, you can send us a DM on our socials at abcnewsgh_. If you are not following us, you should follow us on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, on Facebook. Just send us a DM, send that birthday wish, and we'll gladly do that for your friends and your loved ones. Some people are celebrating their birthdays. These are New Year babies. Let us wish them a happy birthday. Happy birthday to Sofomami Letitia Efialiti or Mama Lit. This is from the General Overseer of the Truth Apostolic Church, your family and children. And their message is, we love you, we appreciate you. More oil, more grace for the work of God. To Sofomami Letitia, a happy birthday to you, coming from your coming from the General Overseer of the Truth Apostolic Church, your family and children. Also, happy birthday to Mrs. Thelma Nateki Boche Agbogbo, who is at the DVLA head office. This is from your husband, Bob and Kit. You are a wonderful person, beautiful inside out. Shine on for the years ahead as we hold each other's hands to greater celebrations. We love you. So to Mrs. Thelma Nateki Boche Agbogbo, a happy birthday to you. And so happy birthday to everybody celebrating their birthday. If you're celebrating any milestone, a happy birthday to you and congratulations on your milestone. If you want to wish your friends and your loved ones, just get in touch with us on our socials at ABC News GH_. We are in a new year. Executive interview is the platform that you would get to be able to sell yourself to Ghanaians. Let Ghanaians know what you're doing, that venture you are into, that business you have, that service you're providing. Call us on our number 0539161609 and let us know, and we'll gladly get interactive with you here on ABC News GH. We're grateful that you joined us this morning on the show. Thank you so much for beginning the year with us. A happy new year to you. Like we said before we ended 2024, we said 2025 will be bigger and better here on ABC News GH. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day. I am Abna Mante.